Oh my word. It is the debut episode of Leading Our Own Way, and I'm super excited. You know, it will be the #1 podcast in the world where you can hear inspiring people with their inspiring journeys that will not only help you rediscover who you are, but it will help you grow and it will help you understand what your purpose is. You know, I created this podcast because I believe everybody has a story and every story is worth hearing. Don't swipe away. In fact, subscribe and follow on all the platforms, especially on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all the other ones. Check us out at www.leadingourownway.com for everything else. However, in the meantime, stay tuned. Don't click away because Jake Ward is the debut guest of the show, and he's got one incredible journey from what he's done professionally, leaving his job, to the professional life that he's created. It's absolutely insane. It will gobsmack you. Not only that, the trauma him and his family have been through, how he's had to navigate him and his family through it, and what he's done to build awareness around it too. It's just one incredible story. So listen to the intro, take it in, sit back, and enjoy the first episode of Leading Our Own Way. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm your host, Andrew White, and this is the podcast that unveils captivating narratives of resilience and personal triumph. This podcast is for anyone seeking inspiration and insights on overcoming life's challenges. Follow and subscribe, and then we can lead together forever. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to Leading Our Own Way. I'm very excited. Leading Our Own Way podcast has been in the making for just over a year, and I've been waiting for the perfect timing, and this is it. I'm your host, Andrew White, and we've got an amazing episode for you today. I've started this podcast because I want to share some inspiring stories for those who might have come from adversity, they've triumphed and developed themselves personally, they might have been triggered by something in childhood, trauma, workplace bullying, anything. It's good to hear. It's everyone's got a story, and I believe everyone has a right. All the stories have a right to be heard. I want to spread some positivity in the world, and that's where we're at. And leading our own way. Hopefully, we'll do that. Let's get on with my first guest, a very, very good friend of mine, Mr. Jake Ward. How are you today, mate?
Mate, absolute honour to be here. You're starting a new podcast, and to even recommend that I was good enough for the podcast and to be your very first guest. It's a great honour, mate.
Well, just over a year ago when I thought of this, and I was thinking where I could take this, coming from the book that I wrote with my co-author Mike Nichols, How to Lead with Purpose, I wanted to share some positivity. And when through all the stories that I have come across in my time, I felt you and your background and your story and where you've come from and what you are currently doing in this moment in time, it was the symbolism of leading our own way. And I felt that's where we needed to start. And that's why I asked you, and you kindly accepted. But before we do go on that, because we're going to start off where you're currently at, I'm going to have a bit of a format to the episode. And I want to paint the picture, like beginning with the end in mind. And I want to tell people where you're currently at, and then kind of go back in time and paint that picture, and so where people can see the journey's going to lead, and hopefully that will give some inspiration and allow people who are struggling to come through, know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But also, there are people who have also done it and go, oh, that's amazing. They can have a connection with the guests and me and so on. But also, people just love to hear great stories as well. So I think we can get all viewers to enjoy the show and enjoy the story, and that's where we're at. But first, before we do begin on your journey, yourself and me, we met nearly 20 years ago, I think, in Manchester, England.
Yeah, it was a long time ago and a lot of hair ago. I'm thinking, 2005. 2005 or 2006.
Yes.
We crossed paths for the first time around there.
And we met at the local basketball centre. We had an Australian owner, and he sent you out there to make things better and put a bit of an Australian twist on it. And we became friends. We connected. You were this loud Aussie coming through. Everybody knew who Jake Ward was. It was a great personality, and yeah, it was just amazing. And then I moved to Australia, and we met up and caught up, and I ended up going to your wedding.
Yes. I'm glad you came. We loved it.
Of course.
Hopefully it's the only wedding of mine that you'll go to. So
Good.
I only want to do it once. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been like we hit it off over there. We had the same mutual friends, and then I moved back to Australia, and then you took the plunge to pack everything up and move to another country, and then you kept persisting. I wasn't in the best time when you first came over, and probably subconsciously I was fobbing you off because I was like, I'm not in the best of way to be hanging out with people and whatnot. But then and then one time when everything was hunky dory, everything was great. Yeah, caught up and just been having laughs ever since.
Well, you touched on that, so that's kind of a good way to get into it. Yeah, if anyone does watch our little warm-up episode that we did on my 40th, and you drove 2 hours to come and see me, we did a little bit of a warm episode. It's just an 11-minute thing that we did, and I uploaded it. And, I'm going to keep it on there, let people see the growth of the podcast, from the mic not working to the studio being built, and the way we spoke and was just dead casual, what I love. But we had a quick chat, and we kept it on edge of what you are currently doing. I think this is the perfect time to say, how are you leading your own way right now, Jake?
Right now, as of the end of 2023, I was the most in-demand arm wrestling commentator on the planet. I had 8 international trips last year, and I had to knock back a few because we had the birth of our beautiful second daughter, Jovi. Hello to Jovi. And I what are we, 15 at the moment of this recording, 15 days into 2024, and I've already been to America once to commentate an event.
Oh, it's just absolutely incredible. I get shivers even every time you say it, and I visualize what you're doing, and I just I've never arm wrestled, never watched arm wrestling, but since you've come along, it's coming all over my channels, and it's not even about the arm wrestling for me. It is obviously the symbolism of your journey that just touches me every single time, and I can just imagine the feelings on the flight, and you going doing your thing, and the emails coming through. We want you in New York. I just love it, and I think that it's just incredible, and it just sums up your personality. And I always knew something was going to come from whatever you chose to do. And why? I was going to probably do this later, but it doesn't matter. Why arm wrestling?
I'm a sports guy. I love any sport, really do, whether it's, your basketball, your Aussie rules, your football or soccer, wherever you are around the world, to fighting, to cornhole. I love it all. And I remember back, it was about 1991, and used to go to the local video store, which we all had been to. And I was a huge pro wrestling fan. Yeah. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. I still am. I'm still a mad lunatic for that. Even at my honeymoon at WrestleMania. Thank you to my wife. And I'll never forget it because I knew of Sylvester Stallone. He'd done the Rockies and the Rambos, and we're able to watch that. And he was on the front cover of this movie. And, of course, I went over and had a look, and I flipped it over. And I wasn't the best of reading. They on the old video covers, they had on the back they had the writing and everything there. But I always knew what the word wrestling looked like. So I was like, Dad, I want to hire this. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget it. He said to me, it's not a pro wrestling, it's not Hulk Hogan. This is arm wrestling. That it says wrestling there. I want it. And that movie's called Over the Top. And I absolutely love that movie. And it's always just sat in the back of my mind. Like, I've done a lot of other sports. And then was sitting there. It was about 2 a.m. I was at work and just Googled arm wrestling competition. And by lunchtime the next day, there was actually a competition 20 minutes from my house. So I rang my brother, rang my cousin, said I've entered us in an arm wrestling competition. And I still didn't go back till 2 years after that first competition. I had to finish my local footy career that I still loved playing, AFL footy.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I then started going to training, and I was like, yeah, this is my new sport now. I'm all in.
Yeah, well, I like that, and what I suppose towards the end we'll go into the point of leaving, your job, and we'll come to that. But you are known as the Aussie Armwrestler. I've printed a few pictures. I thought this is the logo for those who can't see it behind him. It's big enough, but just in case you can't see it, here's the Aussie Armwrestler. And I got the white version up there. And just before we do go back in time, talk to us about this one here. I just absolutely love this picture.
So that picture there, so the gentleman crushing my head, his name is Levan Saganishvili. He is from Georgia. Currently there, he was about 183 kilos. I think he weighed in about 403 pounds there. So we're at the press conference. So I was the commentator, MC for a promotion called King of the Table. Basically, the NBA, the EPL, the AFL of arm wrestling. The highest of the highest you can go. We're in Dubai there, and I was just like, the press conference was actually boring. It was really boring. No one really wanted to engage. We had a Russian. The main event was a Georgian and Italian that were trying to learn English. They're a lot better now because that was February 2023. And so I was like, oh, everyone watching at home, you should see how big his hand is. I was like, Levan, show us your hand. I'm like, oh, it's as big as my head. So anyway, I put it on my head, and you can't see it there, but like I've got a bit of a ooh look on me because he actually tried to do some damage to my skull. It was weird. So I'm sitting there going, oh, it's big as me. Chuck it here, big fella. And I got his big meat cleaver on there, and he's doing it. And then I was like, oh, my God, he's actually really squeezing it.
Oh, man.
So after the press conference, I went up to him. I was like, mate, did you actually try and squeeze my head? And he was like, yes. I wanted to see if I could do anything. I said, you're an idiot. Why are you trying to crack my skull? And
Don't touch the Aussie arm wrestler like that.
That's right. Well, I didn't mind him doing it, but I was like, was he like? I come home from Dubai and I've got a thumbprint dent in my skull. And these guys are strong. They're like, he's the strongest arm wrestler ever. So he's going to have a strong hand. And I was just like, oh wow, okay, we're going to play like that. And I got my revenge, fun revenge for him after the match.
Good. But, I was going to say, I just want, whilst we're on the topic of the Aussie arm wrestler, paint a picture of what number one commentator in the world looks like, as in terms of where you travel on an annual basis. You've like you say, you've just come back from New York. Where are all the other countries that you go to?
So the UAE, Dubai, is a few times a year for the number one promotion in the world. I went to Norway last year for an event out there. Ireland, went to Ireland. There's some really good promotion out there. Canada, I'm trying to think, once or twice. No, Canada once. America twice for two separate promotions. One of them is a real good up-and-comer, and they've booked me for, I think, 3 events this year, which is really good. Yeah, so, amazing. Yeah, it's taken me all over the world, even in Australia, get to go around Australia. But yeah, just sitting there and go, I keep I'm looking at you, Andrew, and then you see me kind of looking up, because that's where my whiteboard is with all my dates. And it's like, just got back from New York, getting ready for Norway, Dubai, Ireland in March, and then all the Americas are coming in mid-year because it's getting into their summer.
Yeah. Amazing. For those who didn't know this existed, because I didn't know this existed until I see you promoting everything. Obviously, you tell me on the phone and whatnot, but like everybody else, like, oh, right, okay, yeah. How far can you really take this? And now look, just phenomenal and full faith. Just love the story,
Yeah,
man.
it's my full-time job. So this
Yeah.
is all I do. Like I run my arm wrestling YouTube channel and
Yep.
then mix it in with events and things like that.
Yep.
It's mind blowing. It was the kind of like the lockdowns that
Yep.
really ironically promoted our sport when we couldn't do anything because everyone ran out of things to watch on YouTube. They just ran out of things. So like, oh, there's arm wrestling, and then people are like, oh my god, I really like that guy. I really like that guy. And then that's when I was building my brand roughly around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was more comedy relief. Come switch your mind off for an hour on my show while we're going through some weird times. Come have a giggle and a laugh. There was no fear. I'm having whether they're the best in the world now or used to be the best in the world. There was no thank you, Mr. White, and things like that. Like I'd just be cracking jokes and doing silly stories, having competitions on accents, and it really blew up from there. And for some of these guys to be in the sport, 30, 40 years, and they're getting booked for a match, one of their first questions, so everyone, obviously you see my name's Jake, but everyone's like, is Aussie going to be at the event? And it's just and I'm the same as well. Talking about it, I get a big smile. If you're a basketball fan, it's like Steph Curry, like, oh, I just want to make sure that Jake's commentating my basketball game or the NBA finals or things like that. It's the cream of the crop, and I've been very lucky enough to be accepted with them all.
And did you think it was going to go as far as or as big as it has done when you first set out to do it? Oh, you did. I love it. I love that faith.
Yeah, only because I'm an all or nothing type person, and when you get little sniffs, and then when the ultimate person believes in you, I didn't care because like a lot of people that I knew in arm wrestling didn't believe in me. Not so much didn't believe in me. They're like, oh yeah, whatever, cool. Even some of my mates, oh yeah, whatever. Yeah. But my wife believed in me. Like, and I'm sure we'll get into some stories a little bit later, so I don't want to give it all away now. But she believed in me. So when I started doing it, I was like, cool. And then I was starting to understand how, one, the fear of failure doesn't bother me at all. So I'm happy to message people, want to come on the show? Hey, my name's Jake. I run the show. Aussie Armwrestler, blah, 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 blah. And if they said no, I said, that's fine. I'll reach out in a few more months. I hope you're doing well. And then people saying yes. And then, of course, like wildfire, it was just all spreading. Oh, you got to go on this guy's show. And then, I thought, okay, we've got a real crack here. And then there used to be a league on ESPN called the World Arm Wrestling League. Used to be on ESPN. They were about to move to Fox Sports 1, and it got cut down. Anyway, the guy that owns that emailed me because I used to make little videos. And he's like, I love your videos. And I was like, holy crap. Like,
who doesn't? They're hilarious.
This is amazing. And I was like, dude, my dream is to work with you one day. And he's like, well, you never know what the future holds. Now, whether he was fobbing me off or anything like that, the fact that he reached out, said he liked my videos, and he goes, maybe we can work together one day in the future. I was like, we're shooting for the stars here, and we're not missing. I'll be there, not a problem. A few other little things happen along the way, and it just keeps reigniting, and I'm like, yeah, not a problem. My wife believes in me. I'm here. Let's go for it. I won't stop till it happens.
And all those people now want to appear on your podcast or your show now, right?
Yep. Or if I'm at training and, like I'll come in and start training. For people that were, before I became the Aussie arm wrestler, kind of like ignoring me because I wasn't a very good arm wrestler. I'm still not, but they, didn't really want to spend time with me on the table. I don't know if it was an initiation thing or anything like that. The culture's much better, much better now. But then they're wanting to come over. Oh, I heard, I saw so-and-so was on your show. I was like, cool, man. you can stand over there and listen to me because you didn't want to train with me when I was a nobody. And now that I've made a bit of noise in our sport, now you want to jump on the table with me? No, not today, son. Not today.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, that's big. But did you ever think it was going to get as big as this?
Look, I didn't think I'd have eight international trips and knock back 3 in a year. I thought, because October 2022, I had my first international trip in September 2022. Some great guys in the UK, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then whilst I was on that trip, the big dogs called me and went, we want you. So October 2022, they're like, let's work out a deal to get you to Dubai. And I was like, because I got them on the show and I just said, I'm your guy. Just give me one chance. I'm your guy. Yeah. And then, eight international trips, maybe not. But I think once the first booking came in, the second, I was like,
rolling.
And because it's my only job, I'm not trying to get some time off work or things like that. Supportive wife, my only job. It's the perfect ingredients for a successful career.
Yeah. But if you can see that, talk to us about quickly before we do anything else. But I just love this story. Can you see the card?
Oh, the trading card.
Yes.
Wow. I'll even go you one better, Mr. White.
Uh-oh.
So there it is.
Love it.
So this, because the gentleman wants me to bring it to him in person.
Right.
So I'll have to cover the serial number. So this is a legit trading card. It's a special edition 5 of 5. If you can see, my lighting's not great, but 5 of 5. It's a limited edition card. So this is the same place in Dubai. And they were making, one of the owners was reaching out to me, goes, I heard you're into trading cards. You know, what do you think of these? Rah, rah. And I'm like, oh, man, they're sick. So I said to him, I said, look, as a bit of a token on my career, I was like, are you able to make me one so I can give to my wife? And, you know, we can sit there. Because growing up, you know, it's like you collect basketball cards, and I collected all the sporting cards and things like that. Probably weren't worth a lick now. I still got a lot of them in my shed. So then he goes, I'll make you 5. I'll make you 5 of them and you can do what you want with them. So I put one to auction, and it is now, this one here is the world record for the most expensive arm wrestling trading card. And it's sold for $2,500 US at auction.
Wow.
And yeah, so I'll be handing it to the guy in March in Ireland. Brilliant. And yeah, so the trading card it's got some stats on the back, and limited edition trading card, and it just blows my mind with the legends of the sport. This was the one. I'm happy to have that record for now.
Brilliant, absolutely, I love it. All right, so it's not all. We've just heard where you're at, and it's beautiful, but it's not always been that nice. It's not always been that easy for you. Can you take us back to your childhood and talk about your upbringing a little bit? You grew up in Cranbourne, am I correct? Is that, I mean, that's where I know you lived, but is that where you grew up, Cranbourne, just south?
South
of Melbourne?
Yeah, 45 minutes southeast of Melbourne. We bounced back. Now, for the record, like, my childhood was great.
Yeah.
Like anyone, some things happen, and some things did happen. So, like, I've got 2 older brothers. My mum was very hardworking, but, like, I never missed out on any school excursions. Yeah. You know, I was always, my mum would do whatever it took to get me to basketball training or football training and things like that. But, like, even at 3 years old, I had bacterial meningitis, and that's a disease in the brain. And they put my mum in a room, and they were just like, yeah, you just kind of have to sit in here and allow him to die. And mum wasn't having any of that, and she took me to another hospital. She, I believe, even gave the nurse one. We don't condone violence, but even gave, because they tried to block her. They're like, no, you can't take him out. And so Mum took me to another hospital, and they gave me a one in a, I can't remember the number, so we probably won't quote me on it, but like 250 million chance of living.
Oh,
And Mum was
I didn't
like,
even know.
that's better than not living. So yeah,
Wow.
there was that. I had some kind of like body issues. I was chubby, and then when kids start, like, I got along with kids at school, but then they start calling you fat and things like that. You start to believe it,
Yeah.
so that you battle with that your whole life, and then you slightly become overweight. 15, my dad passed away. That was a game changer. That really
Yeah.
was. With everything that was going on, like, I was just a class clown, a troublesome student, probably caused my mum way too much stress. Was only getting B's and C's, should have been getting A's, like, knew everything that was going on, but was just no execution, just lazy, would rather make people laugh. And then I
Everyone
hope
loves a
no
bit of
one ever.
character.
Sorry?
Everyone loves a bit of character in the classroom, right?
Yeah, wanted to be a comedian and things like that.
You could do that though.
Oh, absolutely. I can do anything I want. Absolutely. If I want to stop and, all right, babe, I want to give this comedy thing a go. I want to start hitting the local clubs and doing some stand up. My wife won't care. She'll be like, yeah, absolutely, you will. We'll probably buy a ticket at the comedy festival.
She's
So,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty cool like that. So then, yeah, 15, dad passed away. Went off the rails a bit. 19,
How
like,
did you
just
go
a
off the
bit of a
rails?
timeline. Not, went overseas, thought I was having the best life, came back and, nah, just kind of like hit rock bottom mentally and physically. Whether it be like heavy drug use or things like that, or you just going to parties and you might get beat up or things like that. It just wasn't fun at the time. Life wasn't too much fun. I thought it was the best time of my life, partying all the time. But yeah, I think maybe the first pivotal moment, there was two that really come to mind. One was at 15. I think I was 21, 21, 22, maybe even a bit older.
Mm.
23, another pivotal one, and they were both related to my parents.
It, Going back to your dad and your nights out and going away and around the world and coming back. Do you think did you ever get closure? Or was it or had you not experienced closure yet from losing your
Oh,
father?
so no, so with my dad, oh, absolutely. So, unfortunately, he was an alcoholic,
Yeah.
couldn't handle it. He had a triple bypass, and unfortunately, yeah, November 20th, the year 2000, his heart stopped. But the real weird thing is, and my mum raised me very, very well. It's all you always leave the house. Um, love you too. Or you've always got to make sure. Mum always made sure that when you're a teenager, she follows you out the front just to ensure that you've left the house
Yeah.
saying that you love each other. Well,
Yeah.
I was at my auntie's house, and it was really weird because dad was there because it was dad's sister, and unfortunately, mum and dad had split up, and me and my two brothers, I'm the youngest of three, were sat in this corner and we were telling dad how much we loved him. So, dad would be sitting there and, oh yeah, we should go fishing and things like that. And no, we love you so much, dad. You got no idea. We love you. We love you. And then I remember going to work, I think it was like 4 days later, and my mum and brother turn up and yeah, they give me the horrible news that he's no longer with us. But a part of me was like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
how good is that my final words to my dad was how much I loved him. I
That was
love
a
you, Dad. I love you so much. I'm going to make more of an effort to see you. And he didn't live that far away from us. I was just a teenager. I was just a teen. Wanted to do my own thing. Selfish. I was a bit selfish. But yeah, but as for closure and things like that, I was heartbroken. I'm still heartbroken today. It's always hard.
Mm.
Sometimes you go back to that teenage mindset. I've got my dad's name tattooed on my arm. I got all my family tattooed on my arm. But yeah, it was so there was never wonderings and what ifs, but yeah, it's still it still sucked. Don't get me wrong.
Of course, but I think you make a good point. Like with weapons. It's not that it would have been bad if you hadn't have said "I love you," because you'd be a typical teenager just walking out the door, and last time you see him, you go, "Yeah, see you later," and you just assume things are going to carry on as normal. But that's kind of how I like to live my life. If people have not spoken to for a while, just drop a message, man. It's not
Yeah.
hard. I always think, if my friend was if somebody let's say somebody did die, of course the event of it is shocking and it breaks you apart. But knowing that you always tried can give you something, make you not have a regret in that sense, but there's people who don't try, and then all of a sudden somebody passes and they always have that little ounce of regret, and that could trigger a lot of things going forward. I mean,
it can sit inside with you and really ruin you. Like growing up, it's all, especially with social media and everything these days. I mean, some of the dumbest things I hear all the time. Oh, well, it works two ways, or oh, well, they've got a phone. It's like, well, what's going on with me telly up here? Well, you just don't know what's going on in people's lives. So if I haven't heard from someone from ages, I never think, oh, well, they've got a phone, they can message me. I'm like, hey, dude, haven't spoken to you in a while. Just so you know, I hope you're doing well, mate. What's going on? Hopefully we can get a beer soon. Or, g'day, how's the family? Just something like that. Not liking their post or anything like that. Like a direct message to someone or a phone call. I mean, I'm more of a texter than a phone call. But, yeah, I never leave any stone unturned. I've got my friends. I've got my family. And I'm not perfect, but I definitely do my best. Straight away, it's like, oh, geez, I haven't heard from Andy for a while. Straight away, it's not, oh, I'll have to message him. Straight away, it's, hey, Andy, what's going on, mate? Hope you, family, are doing well. Cheers. I'm not saying we have to catch up or anything, but I'm just like, hey, dude, hey, I hope you're killing it.
That's right. Even just like a missed call, seeing a missed call goes, that's enough message. You go, yeah, I'll get back to you. No rush. But they know, that person's thinking of you one way or another, right? And I just love that. Yeah, there's a lot of close people here that we won't speak to each other for a bit, and then we'll message, and we won't reply. But they know I've got kids, and I know they've got something on, and then we'll even just reply 2 days later. But there's no issues regarding it, And I think if something makes it a bit.
And they're some of my favourite people. Like I've got a mate. We met on the first day of prep primary school. He was a groomsman at my wedding, and I might not see him for months at a time because he's not married with kids. He's in a different part of his life. He's doing great. He's just in a different part of his life. But I might not speak to him for ages, and I'll be like, hey, mate, do you want to go to the pub tonight, or can I come over for a few drinks? And I'll go there, and it's like I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, I love it.
And then they're my favourite type of people. Like because I know, like, with these group of people I have in my life, like if push comes to shove and I ring up, hey, things are going really bad, like they'll drop everything for me. I'm very lucky. So that's why it's like, it's so good that I can just ring shit. And then you start talking, was it March last time we caught up for a beer? Oh, bloody hell. But the way we talk, it was like yesterday. And yeah, I'm very lucky for people like that in my life.
It's like that when I go back to the UK. We might not speak for 6 months, a year, or sometimes the whole duration of where I've not been home. And you're sitting with them, and it's like you never left. It actually feels like I lived 2 lives in 2 universes. It's like I never left. The street's still the same, and I come back here, and then I forget. Yeah, it's weird. I can't. Maybe you can understand it because you did live abroad, but maybe only expats understand it. I don't know. But it is so weird. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, it's just like 2 lives. So bizarre.
Yeah.
But that's true friendship, isn't it? When you've not spoken a while, and it's like, a friend came and stayed here at the weekend, not seen her in over a year, came with a husband and the kids, and like we never left each other. It was bizarre. Oh, I love it.
Beautiful.
All right, so yeah, going back to that part of your life, you mentioned your mum, some health issues arised. It was on your mum and your auntie. Am I correct on that? Or your cousin? What was the situation there?
Oh, so Yeah, so when I was 2006, maybe 2007,
Yeah.
my cousin, she was only 31 at the time, got breast cancer, was pregnant,
Oh, no.
refused treatment, had the baby, which my cousin's now, he's like 21 or something. It's ridiculous. Like, he's supposed to be my baby cousin. He's now 21, you know, or something around that. And unfortunately passed away because when you don't have any treatment because she didn't want to harm the baby, she sacrificed herself for my cousin. Yeah,
Wow.
she ended up passing away at 31. And then a few years later, so that was on my mum's side. And then on my
Yeah.
dad's side, I had an auntie, life of the party, beautiful lady. She developed breast cancer and basically fought it. And then it was like the day after or a few days after she was given the all clear. There was that much stress on her body. She ended up having a heart attack and passing away. So, you know, in a shorter term, I say I had two family members pass away from breast cancer. One caused so much stress on her body that her heart stopped after her treatment was finished, and the other one refused treatment and yeah, just unfortunately ripped through her. And when you see these beautiful women at their worst, it's something that sticks in your mind forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And how far apart were those two? You might have said it, but
I
what part?
think I think it wasn't that long. I think it maybe 4 years at the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
4 years.
And some people would dwell on that, and some people would hold on to that, and people go into depression and anxiety and revert to alcohol and drugs. People manifest things, and it grows and it goes the wrong way. How did you deal with that? How did you go into a negative path, or did you turn this into a positive?
Well, I was kind of going through a negative spot anyway. I
Yeah.
have patches throughout my life, so I was very heavy enjoying illicit drugs and things like that. So it's not like that's how I would deal with it. I was just doing it anyway. So,
Right.
you go out and party and you're just trying to get through the week so you can go out and party on the weekend. I was never addicted, which I'm very lucky for, but I was just like, you just think the world's against you. You had a failed trip overseas. You're running basketball centers and you think life's great. And then suddenly at the time, your girlfriend leaves you and you're stuck in a dead end job working in a factory where, only months ago, you're on the other side of the world working in a job that you've dreamed of your whole life. So, yeah, I drink a lot whenever I could because it was just like, yeah, why not? Have a
Was
drink,
that
catch
the
up with this mate, catch up with that mate. And yeah, so I wasn't so much there. Des forcing me to drink certainly didn't help.
Yeah. Did you go deeper then with all of this and that play, those two meshing together? Sorry, the three scenarios, your cousin, your auntie,
Well,
did that send?
the
Oh,
Cardinale, they were very heartbreaking and things like that. But I think it was just on my own selfish journey.
yeah,
Going deeper and like some people, you have I was very lucky in a sense. Had a failed attempted suicide, and I was very grateful that it didn't work. It didn't work out
yeah. Me too,
because
man.
then it was then that was another game. Heaps of game changing moments in my life. It was then where I was like, oh wow, I'm just sad.
Yeah,
There doesn't always need to be a result, a label. I was just sad. I
yeah,
wasn't depressed and, well, I was probably mentally unstable. I tried to end my life, but I just meant when I was surrounded by people that really needed help,
yeah.
that was a huge wake up call for me. And I was like, oh, wow, all right, well, all this has got to stop. So,
How did
yeah,
you know
cut
people
back on.
needed your help? Sorry, I cut you off then. How
Oh,
do you know?
sorry.
Sorry, I cut you off then. My apologies. How do you know people needed your help or needed help?
How did I know?
Yeah, how
Because I
could you
spent
know?
18 hours in a psych ward.
Right, okay.
And, and so, yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, these are people with real problems. I was playing local footy at the time, I get to go to the gym. I had a roof over my head. I was working full time. Yeah, I was just sad. I was just sad. I wasn't where these guys were at. And I was very lucky that I was able to project that same story to the psychologists. And they said, yeah, okay, yep, you've got a stable home to go to and things like that. You can go home. And then, yeah, ever since then, I was like, wow, okay, there's better ways to go about things. Because I was the cliche life of the party, everyone's friend, wanted to be there and be there for anyone and everyone. Oh, yeah, cool. You need me there? Awesome. Oh, no one wants to have a drink with you? I'll come and have a drink with you. Yeah, no worries, running around. I'll help you move house. I'll do that. Ha, ha, ha. Joke, 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 joke. And it was exhausting. It was really exhausting. That was my personality. And it still is today. I love going in there and, you know, there could be a serious moment and I'll make a dumb joke. I make dumb jokes and I think they're hilarious when they're not. Just ask my wife. The poor thing. But yeah, I was more at that stage, I was just exhausted because I was like, oh, do they really need me? Oh, they need me. And then you go through the horrible thing. Oh, the world's better off without me. You know, everyone will just move on. It'll be fine. Which they would have, because that's just what happens. You know, no one's that important that the world stops when they pass away. Like my dad was one of the most important people in the world. But my life had to keep going. So, yeah, had that failed attempt and then, yeah, was just like, oh, nah, pull your head in, dickhead. Like, you're an idiot. So let's go.
That 18 hours in the psych ward then was kind of gave you perspective on...
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sitting there and I didn't want to sleep. I refused to take any medication. I cried and I cried and I've never been more scared in my life. I was getting verbally abused and there were some pretty big nurses / security guards there. So they were right on top of it before things got physical. But I was good enough to be in a headspace to know if you don't take any medication, you don't engage with verbal confrontation and you don't get into any physical confrontation, you got a better chance of going home and dealing with it. And that's what I did. You know, I might have had a shirt ripped or something like that, might have been spat at. You know, they would attack. Mum come and visited me for a bit and she was getting yelled at. And yeah, it was probably one of the scariest moments of my life.
Yeah, geez, I didn't even know that existed. How long were you in there for?
18 hours.
Oh, he's actually 18 hours. I thought it might have just been a figure you kind of said, but...
Oh, so no, because I got there and was able to not so much work my magic, but, you know, use my speaking ability to my advantages, but really have a good perspective. And I was very lucky. And then got to go home. It's not a story it's not a story I like project and things like that. But it was something of mine. It was something that I told my wife on my first date, on our first date, you know, because I didn't want any skeletons in the closet. So yeah, and it was I'm a big believer of things are meant to happen. I was meant to fail at this. I was meant to do good at this. I was meant to survive, and yeah.
That was a pivotal story, man. A pivotal point, not story, that's the wrong word, but a pivotal point in your life that changed everything. But, you know, don't put down your own trauma, though. You know, a guest that's going to appear in a few episodes in a few weeks' time, he once said to me, I shared my journey with him. I knew it was an open book anyway, but I shared my journey. And he just held space for me. He heard me. He listened to me. I didn't feel judged whatsoever. And then I go around to his place a few weeks later for a drink to catch up. And he tells me his.
Yeah.
and I won't say it now, but my point of telling you that is when he told me that, I said, oh my God, you held so much space for me and you made me feel so welcomed in my own space, my own trauma, my own emotions. You allowed me to sit in it. But your trauma, oh my word, to me, it's way way, way bigger. But he said, Andy, there's no ranking in trauma.
No, people deal with things differently. For me, I think because I'm a storyteller, I love telling stories, I've done amazing good things. When I can see someone needs help or, jumping on this podcast, I'm happy to talk about it. Don't get me wrong. But but when it comes, to if I've got my top 5 stories that I want to share with people, maybe buy the DVD and that could be on the special features.
Well, I appreciate you saying that story because I've never heard that story. But the reason why I said the no ranking part is because, you saw those people suffering, and you went, "Whoa, hold on, I'm not quite at that level." But your trauma is still your trauma. Your issues were still something that affected you. But it was great how that turned your mentality around to go, I need to lead my own way now. I need to go in a different direction. And coming out of that, where did your journey then go?
So it bounces around back and forth. Like a little bit earlier from that, my mum was like, why don't you try helping people for once? You're so selfish. I went through a horrible selfish phase. And mum's like, why don't you try helping people? And I got a job looking after people with intellectual disability. And I was like, whoa, helping people's so much fun. I love it. So that was another pivotal point. But where I went from there was just straight for shot for the stars. I was like, went back in working in disability, then just realized I needed some time by myself. I wasn't trying to because really wanted to fall in love and get married and all that. And I was like, hang on, I'm the last one out of my group of friends. What's wrong with me? So I was like, no, I need to be by myself. And that's fine. Whatever happens, happens. And then the journey of I started raising money for charity. I was like, I want to get back in. I want to start personal training. So I started getting into personal training and I was like, nah, I actually want to manage this facility that I'm working at. It was coincided with an AFL football club. I was like, I'm going to manage this. I ended up making my own position and pitching it to the powers to be because I wanted to work full.
Would be you, Jake. Of course.
Jake because I was working at this place. I was working at the gym, and I wanted to transition because I just finished teaching expelled high school kids, and I was working in disability, and I was transitioning to this, and I wanted to work full time at this place. I was really enjoying it. I did it for about 6-7 years. I was in the gym, not enough shifts. Oh, why don't you buy a thing called duty captain? It's like an on-shift manager.
Yeah.
And then then I was looking around, I was seeing all the holes and all the scrambling and everything's going wrong. So I wrote this big document, did a presentation, I booked all the powers to be and showed them charts and everything like that on how they'll save money. And they're like, oh, well, that's a really good idea. We actually have to interview other people for this, but this is a brilliant idea. Yep. Ended up getting the job and kept it until I was bored of it.
Nice. I love it. I love that you created your own position. Of course you did. Going on to the part that you said about helping people and raising money. 2013, you decide to do a run from Melbourne to your hometown Cranbourne, and that's around 110 kilometers. Is that right?
So I started I started in Cranbourne, and I ran around surrounding towns.
Right.
So I was running, to all these different places. So I jumped in my car and just mapped out 110 Ks. Ran 10 Ks on the beach. And mapped it all out and just went, right, here we go.
So you were raising money for breast cancer, am I correct on that road?
Yeah, breast cancer research, because my mum used to do awesome fun days. Auctions for sporting memorabilia, raffles and prizes and barbecues. We'd have this big day every year, and it was awesome. I'd help her be the auctioneer, going once, going twice, sold and raise money. And I'd get excited helping mum count the money, and I was just looking at my mum kind of almost in awe, oh my God, you have done all this. This is incredible. Yeah. And I remember mum saying that it was getting a bit tired. She was getting a bit tired. She couldn't do it anymore. I tried to do it one year at the footy club, and I was like, nah, I'm a big picture person. I think I'm a big personality. So let's go big. So I worked out, I just run my only marathon when I was relatively fit. And then I looked up ultra marathons, and that was 100 kilometers. And I was like, well, I got to go one better, don't I? So that's how it became 110 kilometers. And yeah, spent 18 hours and 51 minutes running around surrounding towns, and I was only alone for 45 minutes. The support of friends, family, the local community, it was incredible. It was addictive.
Yeah.
It was just amazing when you can just bring brightness into someone's day. You know, you've seen this weird bloke, he's run down the street, he's got his pink singlet on, he's got his pink hat on, a stupid smile, plodding along, and, oh, what are you doing? Oh, what? How long have you been running for? I've been running for about 11 hours. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, here's $5, here's $10. Or the police would pull over, and they're like, do you need us to block off any roads? And they had it all mapped out, and it was fine. But yeah, that then built an obsession.
Obsession is not even a word. There's not a word that's invented for what you're about to say, Jake. Go on.
It was,
where did you go next? Oh, first, first, before you tell us the year later, which is crazy, how much money did you raise on that one run?
So that was just off a whim.
Yeah.
Organised in 2 weeks. And I raised like over $8,000.
Amazing.
And I was like, wow, imagine if I put in time and effort.
Yeah.
And like an X factor, because people ran ultra marathons. So an extra 10Ks wasn't, like, after I'd done it, wasn't a big X factor. But I was like, what if I can try and do something that I don't know anyone that's ever done personally? There's an X factor that I might not finish. Thought that'll really help, and I want to do it my way. So then after that, 9 months later, I ran home from Sydney to Melbourne, or Sydney to Cranbourne. Turned out to be 1,000 kilometres.
So for those people in Europe, because if you put a map of Australia, it covers Europe, right? And here on the map of Australia, Sydney to Melbourne, Cranbourne doesn't look that far. But if you turn that into driving, it's a 10-hour drive.
If you get a good run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about 1,000 kilometers, 600 and odd miles, I think it is, for those who do work in the miles. How long did that take you? Because that was around 16 days at 65 a day.
Yep, bang on. So it was 16 days, 65 Ks a day. The last day I think was like when you add it up, it was like 25 Ks. That killed me. That was horrible.
Yeah.
I was so physically fit, the fittest I'd ever been. And 4 days in, or was it the third day? My knees went, my ankles went, and I had a bit of a strain in my hamstring. But I never trained mentally for an injury because I was young and I'd just been playing footy for 5 or 6 years and never been injured, and I'm made of rubber, and 83, I think I was 83 kilos at the time, and I was fighting fit. So I never trained myself mentally. So then to try and get through 65 Ks a day, it was taking me like 13, 14 hours a day. I didn't really know what the body needed. So I would do the whole day struggling and then jump into bed. Now, for those that are into health and fitness, resting straight after something like that is the worst thing that can be done for you. But I'm like, I'll just have a good night's sleep. And it absolutely smashed me.
I just can't even imagine it. Absolutely insane. How much money did you raise on that particular run?
So that one came 40, I'm trying to think, it was like 40 something $1,000, $45,000,
Right.
but it was done my way. It was done my way. So what I mean by that, I wanted genuine donations. I wanted someone to go, oh my God, look at this lunatic running down the Hume Highway. Oh my God, this is my friend Jake. He's going to run home from Sydney. Like he's going from foot. First of all, side note before I finish that story, didn't realise that when you start at sea level, because I started at the Sydney Opera House, which is right on the ocean, there's only one way to go, and that's up. And like the first 3 days were uphill. It was horrible. The Great Dividing Range, like almost vertical. Horrible. So I just wanted people to donate, because what I was noticing was people would like, hey, Jake, can't believe you're running home from Sydney. I'd love to donate $200. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then I'd get a message, whether it's an hour later or a couple of days later, they're like, oh, you wouldn't mind giving my painting business a plug on your page. And I'm like, oh, so you're just paying for advertising.
Yeah.
Nah, here's your refund, buddy. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I sold out a bit, because then I probably could have raised millions. You know what I mean? Yeah, no worries. You want to give $1,000? Cool. What's your business? Oh, leading your own way. Boom, $1,000. Hey, everyone, leading your own way, $1,000. And I could have given more money, but I felt good inside myself that all the money I'd raised was from genuine donations, everyone just giving and not asking anything in return.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, you stuck to your guns, man. You kept your authenticity. That's what's beautiful about it, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. So after that run, before we go on to the next part of the running thing, things did slightly go down. You decided to move. You wanted to go to Canada, and you went for a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 What happened? Because I was here then. I was here in Australia. What happened with the whole Canada thing?
I don't want to say fell off the wagon, because that sounds like I was addicted, but was just enjoying my single life, was just enjoying it. Well, I thought I was enjoying it, but then I was getting like some demons back in. Once again, I was single for a long time, and I was just like, oh, well, this is crap. You know, all my mates are married. They're all having kids. No one really wants to hang out with me anymore. I don't want to make new friends. So I just go out partying or whatnot. So I was like, well, bugger it. Let's go. I always wanted to go see an NBA game. My choice of Canada was so I could illegally migrate to the US. Yeah. Knowing what I know now from my travel, I went about it the wrong way, because I was like, I'll get a working visa. I had teed up a job to work as a security guard. I'll get a working visa. Canada's a part of the Commonwealth. Australia's part of the Commonwealth. We're like brothers. It'll be fine. So, and then at the time, like, I was very impatient. Nah, gotta go now. Even my mum was like, I wish you wouldn't go. Like, you're rushing it. And it's like, fine. So I didn't even have my visa approved. They just kept prolonging it. Setback after setback after setback. So I had to go on a away party. Said, I'm out of here, guys. I've had enough. I'm going to move to Canada. Still didn't have my visa. Flew over there. Didn't have my visa. They let me in the country, and they said, if we catch you working, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I was like, all right. Went to a security job. They're like, yeah, as soon as we see your visa, you can start working. I was like, bloody hell. Lived in a backpackers, found a place to live, and I thought, well, I'm going to be here for a while. So I paid for a month up front when they only asked for a week. Paid for a month up front. So I'd run out of money. Then, and I wasn't wealthy or anything. I still had a mortgage to pay at home. I wasn't like years ahead of my mortgage. So I was like, I'm in a bit of trouble here. I got no money. I was too proud to ask for anything. I was too proud to ring my mum, say, oh, could you buy me a couple of $1,000, blah, blah, blah. I was too proud. Ran out of money, hit up the guy. I was like, oh, can I have my money back? Because I'm going back to Australia. Well, he'd spent it.
Oh.
So I smashed his TV, and I smashed a couple of other things leaving his house.
Really?
Because I was like, use the money to fucking pay for that. I didn't care I was leaving. Call the police. I just didn't care. And slept one day in a park. No money. And yeah, this was all in 6 days. I was back home in 6 days.
You know, now you said the TV smashing thing, it's kind of come back to me. I think I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah, because I was just like, okay, whatever. You're not going to give me my money? All right. I can't force you. I don't have enough time. So walked out and just, he had a flat screen TV, and I just kind of just picked it up, threw it on the ground, and then he had like a candle, and it just launched it through like his wife's, or it could have been his, but you know, like those clear glass panel things. Fucking threw it through there. And so I had no money, just had enough to get back to the airport, you know, spent it all on changing my flights. And then, got picked up from the airport, and I was back playing footy that weekend.
But the craziness the craziness didn't stop there. The lunatic that you described yourself as, the Sydney run, only becomes more, I don't know, there's a word past lunatic somehow for this one. Did you just decide to run from 110 in the local area, which 110 is not local, but still, and then 1,000 kilometers? Tell everybody what the next crazy, mad Jake Ward lunatic decision was.
Well, it's funny because this stemmed from being in Canada. I was searching for something. Something was missing. I always thought it was a wife, you know, because that's just human nature. That's what we're put on the earth to do. And I was in Toronto, knowing that I was coming home, and something loomed over me. Like I said earlier, I always think things happen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I reckon I should do another run. Yep, I'm going to do another run. So, right, I've gone to Sydney. Let's just keep going. Let's go from Queensland, from the Gold Coast. Now, going from the Gold Coast, I mapped out 1,500 kilometres. 1,500 kilometres over a 30-day journey. So that's 50 Ks every single day. There's plenty of annoying things about it, but the only annoying thing about it, you know, you're soul searching. What am I missing? The day after I told everyone, hey, I'm back. I'm doing this. I'm back at it. You thought Sydney was big. I'm running home from Queensland.
You know nothing, you guys.
That's right. Thinking I felt really good. Until the next day.
Ooh.
And I went out to dinner with my wife. And I remember driving home, and I was like, I wasn't supposed to do this run. I'm supposed to marry this woman. But I was already committed. So I was like, we're doing it. We're running home from Queensland.
So I mapped it out, just so you know, and put it into the Northern Hemisphere terms of distance. And that is pretty much from Manchester, where I'm from, to Romania, the other side of Europe. And to
there you go.
Small landed people, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, huge.
But in Australia, it's just a pretty much, you can stay on the same road and end up back in a different, 24 hours. Well, it's a 24-hour drive. To put it in perspective, I've driven to Brisbane. I know you did Surfers Paradise. Is it a little bit further, or is it a little bit?
No, Brisbane's like an extra 45-minute drive.
Oh yeah, so just below then. And I've driven there. It's taken 24 hours. So Imagine, and it felt like forever. So, talk about that. You've met Jess. You've been on a date. You're now boyfriend and girlfriend officially, and she's amazing. You've got inspiration, and she was a great support during this time as well, wasn't she? She joined you, had time off work, and came and joined you. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, she took the first day off.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took the first day off, spent the first day with me, and then because she was battling some things at home, like she was preparing for an interview because she was ready to land her dream job at the time.
Right.
We were like, so she's like trying to prepare for this. Her lunatic boyfriend that she's only been together with just over a year is like literally running across the country. So she's bouncing back and forth. And then she came up, I shouldn't say that. My wife came up like the 26th. I think she spent the last 4 or 5 days with me. And just like anyone that tries to visit, they think they're helping me by being on the road the whole day, but they don't understand what your body goes through. And then poor Jess was sore. And it was the first day, quick side note, I'm 1,200 kilometers in. Right. I'm cooked. Jess spends, and she does about 40 of the 50Ks with me, which is very impressive. If you met my wife, she's more of a dancer. She's 5'1", 50 kilos, not much of her. Spends the majority of the day with me on the road. And then I'm like, right, we get to where we've got to stay. We unpack the car. Shout out to Twiggy, who drove the whole way to help us out. And then I'm getting all the ice packs and everything ready for Jess. And by the time I'd done that, I was so tired, I didn't do any of my recovery because I was too busy trying to make sure Jess was okay.
Oh, bless. That's amazing. And on that journey, you had people offer you rooms, massages, obviously donations. You had a radio crew come and join you for part of the way on particular days. You had things like, what were the conditions on the road like? I know we're in Australia and we have animals here. What type of wildlife did you see?
So I didn't know an emu was getting ready to chase me. That's why I'm very thankful of my my mate that drove, because he was a tour guide by trade. And so we're on this lonely road. It's just road and beautiful Australia. And he drives up and I'm plodding along. And anyway, I thought he was just bored, and he absolutely fangs it down the road. And he's like, get in the car. That emu is on the hunt and he's coming for you. And then you could see it start ready to go. And then we drove off and you could just see it going, and then it stopped after a little bit. But like that almost, God. Like if I didn't have someone as intelligent as him in that area, I would have had an emu attack me, because something happens like if you're near their young or they're off away from their young looking for... Don't quote me on how emus go. But yeah, it was horrible. It was the coldest day was 31 degrees Celsius. I'm not... That's like 100 Fahrenheit, I'm not sure, or 80 Fahrenheit. I don't... We're Celsius people.
You did just do it in November, though.
Oh, yeah, it's my fault. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the month of November, because I love the heat. I love the heat, and it's much more comfortable running in heat than it is in rain or cold or anything like that. So I thought at the time, not remembering that I've covered myself from head to toe, because I didn't want to get sunburn and things like that. I had like the darkest back of my hands that I'd ever had.
Sun cream to you, at least sunscreen. Do they donate that?
Nah. Some of the donations, man, everyone was so cool. There was this one guy, he'll always stand out. There was a lot of people's donations stand out. But this guy was very interesting. So I'm in the middle of nowhere. We're ages away from any town, where we've just come from and where we're heading. This guy drives past, just like whatever other cars drove past. He drives past, and he gets out the car, and he looks manky. Like, if you were walking in a suburban street and you saw him walking towards you, you would cross the road. or you would hold your wallet or your purse or whatever. And as he was coming, he stunk. He had hardly any teeth. And he's, hey, what's going on, mate? And I thought, geez, I haven't got the energy here, but like I couldn't see my mate's car. I was pretty tired. He was probably right near me, but let's just say for the sake of it, he was ages away. But I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna have to throw down here. And, what are you doing, bud? Do you need a lift or anything like that? No, I'm doing this run. I've just come from the Gold Coast. I think we're in like middle of New South Wales. Just come from the Gold Coast, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, right. Awesome. He goes, come to my car. All right, yeah, no worries. Go to his car. And he's got his dog in there. Dog's panting. He's got some water. And he's like, oh, I don't want to be that guy, but have you got change of a $10 note?
I know this story.
I was like, yeah, buddy. So I gave him change of $10 note. We had donations and whatnot. And he's like, let me take you back into town. We might have to push it last week because I haven't got much petrol. I was like, no, but it's fine. Like, I got my guy. He's going to help me out if things, get in trouble. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay. He goes, look, sorry, I can only give you $5. I said, I don't get any money for another 6 days. I've got enough dog food for me boy here, and I don't need to buy jam. I'll just buy a loaf of bread and I'll just have dry sandwiches for the rest of the week. Mm. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, mate, I said, I'll drive you into town. I'll fill up your car and I'll buy you a week's worth of groceries for just being a dead set legend. Like, he gave me half of what he had. Like, if you look at everything in your bank account or your beautiful house and everything, and he's like, I'm going to donate, $1 million to you. Half of what I got, $1 million to you. I don't know how much money he got. But, yeah, I was like, this dude is literally giving a stranger. Yeah. I could be scamming him. He doesn't know. It's not making. I'm not making national 9. Well, I made it a few times, but you know what I mean. It wasn't.
You did
super mega big news, and he gave me half.
It's amazing.
Half of what he had, and so for me, and I was like this whenever I did my fundraising. I'm like this whenever I do my YouTube channel. Like, no matter how big or small a gift is, like, they've still given it to you, and it could be huge in their eyes. So, like,
yeah,
if you gave me $5, Andy, I'd be like, oh, awesome, great. But, I know you got a little bit more than $5, which you gave your time. You gave more than $5 for the record, everyone. Andy contributed very well. But it's more like, yeah, sometimes people just see the object and not the meaning behind it.
That's
like,
right.
That 5 was half of everything he had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was him. There were so many other people. Like, one lady kept her cafe open. She just saw me, heard what she was doing. She goes, come to this cafe. So we went to a cafe and there was no one there, and she stayed and cooked me and Twiggy. So Twiggy's the driver, cooked us dinner. Yeah, everyone was so awesome. Country Australia, when you're not in the middle of the rat race in the main cities. Mm-hmm. Just some beautiful, beautiful people, some beautiful sights, and something that I'll never forget.
Yeah. It was.
Well, my titanium hip won't let me forget either.
Well, you don't have any choice in that. And I saw, I came and joined you briefly on that one. I could see how tired you were. I could see how your knees were going, and you just looked. When you see it on movies and the skin, it doesn't even come close to what yours looked like. How just tired and hot, and you just looked hot. Anyway,
yeah.
So you
so hot that shoes melted. Shoes melt
a few times, right?
Yeah, two pair of shoes. I rotated through 13 pairs of shoes, and 2 of them melted on the bitumen. It was that hot. The hottest day was like 42 degrees, and you're outside for 8-9 hours because you couldn't do it really fast when I was feeling good, because then no one would see you. But you didn't want to take all day, because who wants to be out all day in the sun? Yeah. So you needed to find that happy medium to ensure you're getting enough rest, but you're still promoting what you're doing.
Yeah, of course. Well, if people, you didn't think he was using the word correctly with lunatic, now you know he wasn't exaggerating for exaggeration purposes. There's a word that's not yet invented for Jake to best describe his lunatic actions. So
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
You'll look like Jake. 50Ks a day, 30 days. We meet you at the end of the run where you have hundreds of people
Yeah.
at your street, on your street, waiting for you. Channel 7 News. And I just loved, I remember that car and you running around and I couldn't even imagine what you felt, to be fair. Can you describe that moment for us?
I'll try. I'll try. There was so much involved. Not only is it amazing, look what you've just achieved. Your girlfriend's there. She's the first person you're hugging. You did it. I used a lot more colourful words, back in the day, but I was just like, you fucking did it. You did it. I know personal friends, close family were like, he's not going to do it. He's not, but they didn't tell me that. But I know in like conversations, I know a lot of people doubted me. Sorry?
You can sense those things, can't you?
Yeah, and things like that. And as just time was getting closer, I was just like, you son of a bitch. Like, good on you, man. You did it.
Yeah.
Then some other things brew, and they brew throughout the run. I remember my Auntie Lee was there, and it was her daughter, my cousin, that passed away of breast cancer. And at the end of the Sydney run, my Uncle Trev, who was one of my favourite uncles, I know you're not supposed to have favourites. He was one of my favourites. He had died 2 years ago, but after the end of the Sydney run, he just looked at me and goes, you got fucking balls, kid, after the Sydney run. And that has always sat with me. Mm. And there's just moments there, it's like, no matter how many runs, how much money you raise, and everything like that, you have this, and I don't like negative thoughts coming in, but you just have this sense of, you can't bring them back. You can't. Like, you can do your best to prevent it, so no other family, that's what motivates you. You're raising money, so no other family member has to deal with losing someone to breast cancer. Yeah. Huge motivation for me. Absolutely. But, yeah, there's little things like that. But then I just wanted a beer. I had something else brewing at the finish line, so I was a bundle of nerves as well, which I don't get nervous too much, but I was pretty nervous then. But, yeah, it was just... the way you can see me jumping all over the shop with this, it is indescribable, that feeling. It's so many emotions rolled into one. Yeah. My auntie Glenn and Mum made me, like a fun little pink finish line, 300 people there, friends and family, our friends from the UK planned their trip. So they were there at the finish, like planned their trip to Australia to be there at the finish line.
We had you all came to my birthday. That's that picture there where he actually bought us the football shirts.
He did.
Dad,
he did. Your shirt's a bit weird, but mine looks very dapper.
At least people know what it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that makes me a true supporter. I really love my team when you. But yeah, it was great. And then, of course, I think it's like 8 minutes later, you filmed it. 8 minutes later, I do my speech afterwards, and then propose to my girlfriend at the finish line, which was amazing. It brought so much more emotion.
Yeah, it was a great event. It was a great night. Everyone was happy. It was full of joy and full of. Yeah, I can't comprehend what you were feeling, but that was only for you to feel, and it was just a nice night, and everyone wanted to grab hold of you and have a talk with you and understand deeper, and it was just amazing, and I'm glad I was just there to witness it. Yeah, it was just incredible. So good on you for that one.
Yeah, thank you.
It was awesome. No, great story, and what a way to lead your own way, in a way to help other people. And spread some joy, spread some love. And just to those who think they could never do anything. I always end the word yet onto the sentences. You can't do it yet. Stop saying you can't do it. You can't do it yet. I'm not saying maybe the runs. Most people probably do the runs. But
well, I was hoping as well with that. Like, two things come to mind. I was hoping with that it would just let other people believe
exactly
that the average Joe can do big things. But I always remember reading something. It's such a cheesy line, but it always resonated with me. It's whether you think you can or can't do it, you're right. And I was like, yeah, well, holy shit, yeah. I think I can run home. I think I can run home across the country. I can run home from Queensland. I think I can do it, and I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I sat there and went, oh, no, I can't do it, my knees, my back, because I was injured in that Queensland run. I shouldn't have done it. In hindsight, I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's whether you can or you can't, like, you're right. So I was like, yeah, and I hate gunners. Yeah. People I call gunners. I'm going to do this, going to do that. It's like, no, just I'm a big fan of do it. Just do it, because two things will happen. It'll work or it won't.
Yeah. I read, it's kind of off topic, but very similar. I read something about reading the other day and people that don't read. And you could translate this to any scenario, but this particular example was, for those who don't read have no advantage over those that can't read. That, for me, was powerful.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So for those that don't read, have no advantage over those that can't read. So, anyway, so moving on away from the runs, you obviously get married to Jess, and you get a dog, and you build a house and all of that type of thing. Let's move into how you transitioned. You go into a new workforce, you go into a new way of your career, which then leads to what you do now. Everybody knows what you do, but let's go through the journey of how and why.
So we moved into the house 2 days after I run home from...
Oh, God, was it 2 days? You're mental.
Yeah. Yeah, we moved in the next weekend, or that weekend. So I think I finished on like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and we moved in that weekend. If it wasn't that weekend, it was the weekend after. Maybe it was the weekend after, because we were at your house that weekend because it was your birthday.
Right.
So maybe it was the weekend after. But yeah, we moved in real quick. So try moving into a 2-story house shortly after you've run home. But then, so I was managing a sporting and aquatics facility at the time. That was thoroughly enjoyed it.
An AFL football team, which is the Aussie Rules League here in Australia.
Yeah, so they were getting into the health and fitness industry. They were buying facilities and then putting their brand on it. So worked with them, won an award with them. Because I was like, I want to show people that you can work your way up. You don't have to be like the head manager to win awards. And they had this award that one person wins throughout all of their facilities. And I was just, when I started working there, I was just like, I'm going to help as many people as I can here. Like, this is a fun place to work at. I'm really enjoying it. And I was happy. Like, if my shift finished, I was happy to stay back. Like, if I knew our cafeteria was under the pump, I was happy to stay back 15 minutes, make a half a dozen coffees, get the line going, double check on the lifeguards, bring them like a little icy pole because, heated pools in summer, stinking hot. Yep. So just little things like that. And I ended up being the first person to win an award. So out of 4 stadiums full of people. So I got that award. So I really enjoyed it. Created my own full-time job out of it, and became innovator of some things there. That was a lot of fun. But I also, lockdowns changed a lot for everyone.
Yeah.
And I was no different. We had a huge battle going on personally during the lockdowns, and I was really pushing my new career because I had time, and All right, this is the bits and pieces where we go.
Could you tell people what that battle was? Because, I mean, I think this would blow people's minds, especially what you've already been on to. You know, I just, you know, when you told me, how can you escape this thing? You know?
Yeah, it was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever had to endure. So, February 17th, 2020, 4 years after collectively just raised over $100,000 for National Breast Cancer Research, my wife is diagnosed with a very aggressive breast cancer. And yeah, man, just... to describe that, and I'm so lucky I have the woman that I have in my life, because I wasn't even allowed to divulge into that way of thinking. Because, you know, as you say, this guy's just done all these amazing runs and research, and, you know, raising money for research and raising awareness. And then his wife gets breast cancer. Like, that's bullshit, blah, 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 blah. So we get told, we're in the office, we get told it's breast cancer, it's pretty aggressive, here are the next steps, you got to lose all your hair. My wife has long, beautiful blonde hair, you got to lose all your hair. And then she turns to me and goes, you saved my life. The money you have raised, you have saved my life. You were supposed to do all those runs to help me get through this. And I was like, wow. You have just been told you have cancer. You have just been told you are going to lose all of your hair. And that's your first response. You are such an incredible human being. Such an incredible human being. That was just, and ironically, we're hearing all these things from the doctor. And she turns to me and goes, do you believe I'll be fine? And I was like, 100%. The way medicine's changed, huge believer in how they treat women with breast cancer. I said, you'll be fine. And then she was like, that's all I need. Yeah. Give me that reassurance over the next 18 months and we're on. And I was like, wow, like we can all imagine what we would do if touch wood, it never happens to anyone, if we were told with that horrible, horrible news. My wife had just turned 30, just been married. We were struggling to have kids, so we're a bit down in the dumps anyway. And we're just like, you're kidding. And yeah, and another moment happened about 2 months after that. And it just shows, for me, the power of a positive mindset, like to have the most incredible human being as my wife. So she had her first chemotherapy treatment and it almost killed her. And it took me a while to tell this, like after her treatment, but it almost killed her. Like literally, they were like, we're not sure if she'll get through the night. She was throwing up. Body wasn't responding. So anyway, my wife being a beast, pulls through. She sleeps for about 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours, wakes up and calls me into the room and says, can you check if my mum's okay? And then falls back asleep. I'm like, you're like thinking to myself, like you almost died. You are throwing up. You were scared. We're crying. I might not have a wife tomorrow. And like I had to watch her sleep that night to ensure her breathing was fine, which was good. That I had the easy part. And her first instinct is just to ensure that her mum's okay. And I'm like,
that's just
wow. It was just, yeah. But it sucked, man. It sucked. The whole thing sucked. The only good thing about it made my wife and I even stronger. It was during the lockdowns, so I got to be a full-time carer. So was I one of the only people that enjoyed lockdown? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I was a full-time carer for my wife, hated what it was doing to the world, still do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when you're a man, you see problem, fix problem. That's just how we're built. And to not be able to do anything, like you can't do anything. You can reassure, you can make a good meal, you can give a foot massage, but you cannot fix that problem. You have to wait the 18 months and hope you get the all clear. And yeah, which we did. I've got a lot of footage of her on the phone calls and some funny photos and videos and yeah. June 4th, 2021 was her last treatment. Yes, June 4th, 2021.
What a great end to of that particular part of your life. You know, what a great result. And you guys now are thriving with two beautiful children. You're still married, so you obviously
Yes, that's the main bit.
That's the main bit. And she has been a massive, massive part of your life in pushing you to do what you do now, which is full. You know, I spoke to her before the interview while she were in New York, and she gives all the credit to you. I had to pull her back a little bit and go, no,
nah,
yes. It is a massive part of Jake and his character and his personality, his drive, his motivation, his charisma, and so on, and his humor. And I could go on, but it is a massive part for her to to not allow you. That's the wrong. I hate it when people use that word, but it is the message I'm trying to get across. She just pushed you and motivated you, and that 100% support. Because if she showed 50% support, you wouldn't be doing it. You know?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was funny. So the story goes, I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. The gyms and everything was still closed. So I became a postie. And I always said that to my wife. She found it very funny because, like, I was getting to a stage where my patience was ultra thin. I'm a pretty relaxed guy. Not much bothers me. But what was starting to happen was my wife's battling cancer and I'm going to work and I'm getting abused over like 15 cents over swimming lessons. Yeah. Or their daughter can't get the same teacher when they've moved up a level. And people are like getting real aggressive, or the gym's only open for 3 hours because of the dumb rules that were going on. And people were attacking me. And I'm like, my wife is battling cancer and she's in a better mood than you wankers. So yeah, she was instrumental. So from there, I was like, I can't be doing this part-time rubbish. I'm going to be a postie. The first half of it, I was really enjoying. I was by myself. I didn't have to deal with anyone. It was before Christmas, so I felt like Santa Claus delivering all these presents. And then I changed companies, and it just wasn't fun anymore. And my wife kept telling me, she goes, because I just got monetized on YouTube. I met the requirements, the minimum requirements, so I had the ability to make money. And so I was like, no, my wife was like, quit your job and go and do this. We're heavily pregnant with our first miracle baby because we're told we'd never have kids. She's heavily pregnant and she's telling me, and sometimes it's too good to be true, so I left it. Another week went past. She said it again, and then I sat down and I said, are you sure? And I'm budgeting in my head and I'm writing all this down and all your what ifs. And Jess just brought it back down to my level. She brought it real simple. She was like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? You go back and get a job.
Yeah. Wow.
What? Film myself. The next day, went to work, filmed myself quitting to tell everyone in the arm wrestling world that I'm going at this full time. Let's have a real crack at it. Let's get behind it. And in 4 weeks' time, it would have been 2 years full time.
And I mean, I want to actually imagine that first day of Aussie Armwrestler official, nothing else to get up for. I don't mean family and whatnot. I mean just in terms of work. What was that first day like, knowing what you're about to embark on? You scared, nervous, what? Motivated, what?
Motivated?
Yeah.
Definitely. I wasn't scared because that always, I'll just go back and get a job. I'll just go back and get it. Because I've done big things. Hey, everyone, I'm moving to Canada. 6 days. 6 days later, I'm back home. Like, if things don't work out, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Nothing could probably scare you at this point with everything we've just discussed, to be fair.
No.
You know? Yeah.
Not much.
It was a silly question to ask you.
Yeah. So then, but it was more, I was just like, well, what do I do? Okay. Let's try and make a video.
Yeah.
What do we do? Do I spend all day editing? Am I allowed to go to the gym? Because I'm a big believer of karma. So I'm like, well, okay, do I like, if I sit there and have a lunch break, like, am I taking the mickey? Like, we'll just crack it because I'm not working all the time. So it was just more trying to find where the groove is. And now that I've found it, I've got a structure that I go through all day. My hours are a lot different to everyone else. I'm always on the clock. I've been at family dinners, scrolled on my phone, went, God, make a video about that, and like gone in the next room, chucked my phone, balanced it on something, made a video, uploaded it to YouTube, and go from there. So you're always on. I pulled it out of the front. I got to work early when I was a postie. I was just going through my phone. Oh, wow, they've just announced that match. Brilliant. I'm going to make a video and let everyone know. I've put someone on hold at my old job before I was making money on YouTube to film a video out the back. And then, oh, yes, thanks for holding. I just spoke to my manager. There was no one there. But yeah, going full time, it was weird. And then I was like, oh, I've made this much. Wow, what if I can beat that? And I'm motivated week to week to beat last week. Yeah. And it goes through waves. But then you're getting booked. And it's like, well, you're going overseas. Beauty. Well, that booking takes care of the month.
Yes.
So anything you make on YouTube's a bonus.
Yeah.
So now it's, can I get a booking every month? If I can get 12 bookings a year, or eight booking or 12 bookings a year, and there's 2 in a month for 6 months, just as long as I have 12 bookings a year, then it makes my YouTube world a lot more easier, which makes my videos a lot more better because I'm not just trying to get anything out there.
Those trips alone, apart from the wages that you get from those trips, when you upload those kind of things to YouTube, surely will bring more viewers anyway. So it'll help the YouTube side of things as well, right? I guess. Yeah.
So when I went full time, I had 1,400 and something subscribers.
Yeah. And now just shy of 20.
Yeah, just under 20. But I've done it once again. I think you used the word authentic before. So there's not that much money in arm wrestling. So like you can't have a team looking for videos to copyright strike them because they're stealing your content.
Yeah.
Or make hateful videos. I've had these athletes come on the show. They've helped me out. So if they're on a bit of a losing streak, I'm not going to make a clickbait video telling them that they should retire and leave the sport. So there are channels with more subscribers, but they're not getting it. They get their couple of $100 a week shitting on everyone or making clickbait videos. But I just refuse to do that. And I think because of that, I'm getting, invited to events all the time.
Yeah. And that's what you want, man. That's exactly what you're doing it the right way. And you're right, that clickbait stuff. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Would I rather 50,000 subscribers, 20,000 views a video, but never go to an arm wrestling event, or have just under 20,000 subscribers and have a roller coaster of views? Sometimes they're going to hit 1 million, sometimes they're going to hit like 40, but be accepted and respected by the elite.
Yeah.
I know what one I'll pick every time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jake, I mean, what a turbulent story. If that doesn't give inspiration to anyone, I don't know what will. Right? You know,
Yeah.
You've said it you've said you've had some entertaining parts of this story. The way you talk, the way you do it. I do need I do need you to do your famous. You know what I want. Can you do it for us all and show those who don't know who the Aussie arm wrestler is? Can you do
Oh,
a famous?
yes, quick background. It's quite funny. So it's just funny how things come along. So how everything started was I would do voiceovers of arm wrestling matches.
Mm-hmm. They were
And it
hilarious.
just started being, oh my God, that's funny. That's hilarious, rah, rah. And then I was getting tagged and people were making videos imitating me around the world. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I rewatched some of my videos and I was like, oh my God, I've got a catchphrase.
And you didn't
And
even know
and
it.
so and yeah, and it's bang! And I do that and I do it at the start of every match. And like even this weekend, there was an event and I was commentating on my own channel. And I had the athletes message. They're like, "Oh my God, that's my first ever ready bang from the Aussie Armwrestler. Oh, so cool! I've achieved it now."
I love it.
And yeah, it's just funny because like I come from a pro wrestling background, so like catchphrases and everything are cool. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize I had catchphrases, and it's my highest selling T-shirt, the Ready Bang T-shirt. I think because people like it as a little sexual innuendo as well. Oh, mate, every time, like the times that we've said that we're, I announce to everyone that we're pregnant, things like that, and they're like, oh, do you yell Ready Bang when you make babies?
You so do. You
Short
so
answer, no. but,
brilliant. I'll
but
put
yeah, it's,
if you all want to get something from the Aussie arm wrestling, I'll put all the links in the show notes. If anything, the shirts, t-shirts, whatever, social media, YouTube channel, I will put everything in the show notes. So if you guys are interested in a little bit more of what Aussie Arm Wrestler does, please click on them. I'm hoping I can even just get half as many viewers as you, so they can go and click onto you because I think they'll have fun. Even if they're not interested in arm wrestling, it is funny, it's interesting. You make it. You just make it. It's just phenomenal to watch. It pops up on my home feed, and if, I'm sat there and that, boom, got to see it. It's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Jake, I'm going to start a bit of a tradition. I don't know if it's going to work. Here's the first episode of all time, and I'm going to just try it out. But I am trying to get organic guests in here, and I do want to find. I don't really have any marketing money, so I had to think smart about how I would prolong this. Leading our own way to spread the love and positivity around the world. But I'm going to ask you a question, and I would have done it prior to the interview, but you were swanning off in New Jersey doing national events. So you will have to think about it, because I do want people to have time to think about it. But if you don't, that's okay. All good. We're going the authentic route. But if I was to ask you if there is anyone that you know in your life that you're aware of, and you think they would be okay with sharing their journey, who do you think would be happy and would share their journey, that people could get something from it, who could sit in the Leading Our Own Way chair as a guest on one of our episodes?
well, it depends what way you want to go about it. Like there's some good people out there. Like I know a guy who really fought the hard fight against the lockdowns,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And I found him quite inspirational. He gave up everything. He got really attacked. There's things like that. Nick Patterson's a really good guy. There's a guy who done a couple of fun things. He was a guy I used to train with, and he's a karate, like black belt karate.
Mm-hmm.
But he did a 12-hour fight, and he's gone to Japan and done the 100-man fight.
Wow.
So they're pretty fun stories. I'm trying to think of people that have risen to the top in their workplace.
Yeah.
That have been really good.
And it's anyone that's just pretty much led their own way. You know, it doesn't it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, traumatic experiences. It's somebody who could have just chased the dream and they achieved it, and just nutting out how they did it to give other people inspiration and path and journeys of how they can go maybe achieve something, and how, I suppose, they lead their own way. You know, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, my mate from arm wrestling, Ryan Bowen, he's had some back and forths where he wanted to be a professional arm wrestler, and he went 7 years on YouTube. I think he made $4.
Right.
And now he's like, I think he's number 2 in Australia, but gets invited. Like, he was with me in New Jersey competing.
Yeah, I know who he
and
is.
won his match.
I've seen his face. I've seen him on your lives, yeah, and I actually interacted. with
Yeah,
him.
so he's got a pretty good story, you know. Even the things about his daughter and things like that. Yeah, but I think of any more, there's some pretty cool guys.
Well, that's your task now, Jake. That is your task, is to reach out to these people and see if they would be interested in sharing their journey with the world. You know, they might be comfortable, they might not be. If they are, great. Let's roll with it. Let's go for it. If you could and you're willing to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful, Jake. Thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of LOW. I hope that kind of catches on, but I'm going to say leading our own way for the time being. It's been a pleasure. There's a lot I didn't know about your journey, and you know, every time you talk about it, always brings something to me. And so thank you for sharing and being open and authentic and free in your words, but also at the same time in how you say it. And I hope I know it will give hope to people, anyone that listens to this. For those who know you and they didn't know things about you, they will now. And for those who do see the episode outside of your friendships, I think we'll spread a lot of inspiration with your story and episode today. So thank you once again for appearing on Leading Our Own Way.
Anytime, my man. Anytime. Happy to be here.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Everybody else, thank you for joining us on the first episode of Leading Our Own Way. I can't wait to share some of the next few guests over season 1 with you. We will be back in a week's time. Enjoy. Don't forget to share. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.